B. Note that there are millions of Britons of Scandinavian ancestry and ethnicity. Though mixed with others, Norwegians are a North Germanic ethnic group native to Norway. They share a common culture and speak the Norwegian language. Norwegian people and their descendants are found in migrant communities worldwide, notably in the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand and South Africa. Towards the end of the 3rd millennium BC, Proto-Indo-European speaking battle axe peoples migrated to Norway, bringing domesticated horses, agriculture, cattle and wheel technology to the region. During the Viking Age, Harald Fairhair unified the Norse petty kingdoms after being victorious at the Battle of Hasfjord. In the 880s, 2 centuries of Viking expansion tapered off following the decline of Norse paganism with the adoption of Christianity in the 11th century. During the Black Death, approximately 60% of the population died, and in 1397 Norway entered a union with Denmark. In 1814, following Denmark-Norway's defeat in the Napoleonic Wars, Norway entered a union with Sweden and adopted a new constitution. Rising nationalism throughout the 19th century led to a 1905 referendum granting Norway independence. Although Norway remained officially neutral in World War I, the country was unofficially allied with the Entente powers. In World War II, Norway proclaimed its neutrality, but was nonetheless occupied for 5 years by Nazi Germany. In 1949, neutrality was abandoned and Norway became a member of NATO. Discovery of oil and gas in adjacent waters in the late 1960s boosted Norway's economic fortunes. But in referendums held in 1972 and 1994, Norway rejected joining the EU. Key domestic issues include integration of a fast-growing immigrant population, maintaining the country's generous social safety net with an aging population, and preserving economic competitiveness. As with many of the people from European countries, Norwegians are spread throughout the world. There are more than 100,000 Norwegian citizens living abroad permanently, mostly in the US and other Scandinavian countries. Norwegian or Norse Vikings traveled north and west and founded vibrant communities in the Faroe Islands, Shetland, Orkney, Iceland, Ireland, Scotland, and northern England. They conducted extensive raids in Ireland and founded the cities of Cork, Dublin, and Limerick. In 947, a new wave of Norwegian Vikings appeared in England when Eric Bloodaxe captured York. In the 8th century and onwards, Norwegian and Danish Vikings also settled in Normandy, most famously those led by Rollo, and thus began the tradition of the Normans, who expanded to England, Sicily, and other Mediterranean islands. Apart from Britain and Ireland, Norwegian Vikings established settlements in largely uninhabited regions. The first known permanent Norwegian settler in Iceland was Ingólfur Arnason. In the year 874 he settled in Reykjavik. After his expulsion from Iceland, Erik the Red discovered Greenland, a name he chose in hope of attracting Icelandic settlers. Viking settlements were established in the sheltered fjords of the southern and western coast. Erik's relative Leif Erikson later discovered North America. During the 17th and 18th centuries, many Norwegians emigrated to the Netherlands, particularly Amsterdam. The Netherlands was the second most popular destination for Norwegian emigrants after Denmark. Loosely estimated, some 10% of the population may have emigrated, in a period when the entire Norwegian population consisted of some 800,000 people. The Norwegians left with the Dutch trade ships that when in Norway traded for timber, hides, herring and stockfish. Young women took employment as maids in Amsterdam. Young men took employment as sailors. Large parts of the Dutch merchant fleet and navy came to consist of Norwegians and Danes. Most took Dutch names, leaving no trace of Norwegian names in the Dutch population of today. One well-known illustration is that of Admiral Kreis. He was hired in Amsterdam by Peter I to develop the Russian navy, but was originally from Stavanger, Norway. The emigration to the Netherlands was so devastating to the homelands that the Danish-Norwegian king issued penalties of death for emigration, but repeatedly had to issue amnesties for those willing to return, announced by posters in the streets of Amsterdam. Increasingly, Dutchmen who search their genealogical roots turned to Norway. Many Norwegians who emigrated to the Netherlands, and often were employed in the Dutch merchant fleet, emigrated further to the many Dutch colonies such as New Amsterdam. Many Norwegians emigrated to the US between the 1850s and the 1920s. Today, the descendants of these people are known as Norwegian Americans. According to the 2000 US Census, 3 million Americans consider Norwegian to be their sole or primary ancestry. It is estimated that as many as a further 1.5 million more are of partial Norwegian ancestry. Traveling to